Yuta OKKOTSU versus Sukuna, or Gojo versus Sukuna, or the strongest versus Sukuna, whatever this is to you. What is going to happen in this fight? How is it going to play out? Find out now on the Superior IQ channel. By the way, my IQ is not superior to anyone's. Like, I don't actually mean that by this name. I chose this name as a kid and I just didn't change it. In all reality,
I'm kind of retarded.
we're gonna get into this video extremely quickly. Like, it's gonna sound like I didn't give any context when I actually get into the video. But before that, if you guys can subscribe to the channel, because only 0% of you guys on this channel watch my videos. How is that even possible? 0% of you guys? You have the power to change that. And if you do, I'll see it and I'll know it and I'll appreciate it. Now, let's first discuss what is about to happen in these domain clashes. What do I mean these? This domain clash. Before they clash domains, or while they're clashing domains, the narrator says, by Satoru Gojo's hands, the solution to Sukuna's open barrier is found. So this should mean that Yuta understands how he should counter Sukuna's domain. Of course, since he should now have Gojo's memories, and because he watched him in his battle. The way Gojo countered Sukuna's domain was shrinking his domain to the size of a ball, which gave him enough time, well, more specifically, it gave him 3 minutes to fight within the domains in order to buy him enough time to damage Sukuna to the point where his domain collapses. And simultaneously, Sukuna kept breaking his domain from the outside. From what we know right now, I'm going to assume that Yuta's unlimited void is as strong as Gojo's. For one, because I have no reason to believe it's not going to be, and mainly because Akutami has the luxury of doing that, since Sukuna's domain is probably the only thing that hasn't decreased in output and strength, which we know other aspects of Sukuna have pretty much did. But I can still see Akutami potentially nerfing Yuta in other ways, since having a full powered Gojo would be kinda ridiculous for this version of Sukuna, and could make this way too easy for Akutami's liking. Assuming this Gojo's unlimited void is at full power, then this is troublesome for Sukuna. And like I said earlier, it took Sukuna 3 minutes to destroy his domain from the outside, and alongside binding vows to decrease his range in order to break Gojo's domain from the outside. The biggest problem here is that the current version of Sukuna's domain only lasts for 99 seconds. If Yuta can hold out his domain past 99 seconds, which depends on how strong he is, and he should be strong enough to do that, and that can very easily happen, especially due to the state that Sukuna's in right now. And if he outlasts the 99 seconds, then that means Sukuna gets hit with unlimited void. Assuming he has no domain counters available as of right now, especially not Hollow Wicker Basket, because he's missing 2 arms, and I don't really think you can do Hollow Wicker Basket with 2 arms on the same side of his body. Maybe you can, I don't know. But it doesn't really matter since he would be defenseless because he only has 2 arms now, only using Hollow Wicker Basket. What could make this predicament even worse is the combination of Yuji and Todo fighting alongside Yuta. I'm not saying this will 100% happen, but there's a good possibility it can. Yuji and Todo won't get hit by Gojo's or Yuta's or Sukuna's short effect, mainly because Sukuna and Yuta should cancel each other out. If for some reason they don't cancel each other out, we know Yuta can direct his sure hit to only target one person and exclude the other people in his domain. So he can do that to protect Yuji and Todo from unlimited void. And if the worst case scenario Sukuna's sure hit gets through, Yuji was able to withstand pretty much the full duration with simple domain, so he can just use simple domain. So can Todo, since he also has simple domain. And yes, other guys like Choso were using simple domain to survive the duration, so why can't Todo? And they also have Todo's teleportation with his insane reaction speed, so considering all this, they aren't in real danger from Sukuna or Yuta's domain. And we don't really have to worry about Sukuna's furnace, because if he's gonna alter his domain to keep up with Yuta's, because he had to do that to keep up with Gojo, that's what made the furnace cooled in the first place and he couldn't use it. So if he has to do that, we don't gotta worry about the furnace. I want to remind you guys of the fact that even if this does happen and they clash and they go fight for a little bit, I want to remind you guys that if Sukuna sustains enough damage within his domain, it would cause his domain to collapse. Yuji alone was able to work Sukuna with several black clashes. 2 chapters ago, Todo and Yuji beat the brakes off Sukuna. The last chapter ended with Yuji's claws scratching at Sukuna's heart. It's safe to assume that Yuji, especially with the help of Todo, is capable of damaging Sukuna to a point where his domain collapses. Now you factor in Yuta, who might have the physical capabilities of Gojo. and should be able to use the limitless. I'm saying maybe with some things, not the limitless because that should be a given, but I'm saying maybe with being as strong as Gojo because I feel like Akutami might nerf him in some way, but more than likely Yuta is still going to be comparable to a full power Gojo in some aspects. Also, there's the possibility of Yuta also being able to use his copy and has Rika alongside him while in Gojo's body. Mei mentioned 3 possibilities of how things will play out with Yuta. The important one for this topic is when she mentions Yuta will die after 5 minutes. And that's because of Kenjaku's Cursed Technique needing to be constantly activated. This was brought up obviously since Yuta can only use his copy technique outside of his domain for 5 minutes when Rika is fully manifested. We don't know the condition of Rika or if he even has Rika fully manifested right beside him, but from what we know, she should be. It's also possible since the hand that Yuta usually has Rika's ring on has been very ambiguously hidden to us the entire chapter. When he's on the stretcher, that hand was shown to be cut off. When he's in Gojo's body, that hand is cut off in both panels. But what we do know is for him to be able to use his swap technique right now, he should have Rika fully manifested to use Kenjaku's technique that he copied. And since it was an entire talking point of him only being able to use copies, while specifically when Rika is manifested, which was said in that chapter, and also with them worrying about what's going to happen 5 minutes later, means he's still probably using his copy the same way he usually does. Meaning Rika could be around. Meaning he could have access to his curse techniques, which needless to say would make him way more ridiculous in this battle against Sukuna. It will low-key make sense why he didn't have Rika fully manifested in his battle with Yuji against Sukuna. Sure, he didn't need his copy technique since he was using his domain, but Yuta said he was planning to end things specifically with only his domain. And to be honest, that gives off the feeling that he didn't want to resort to the final option that we now found out would be to take Gojo's body, which would in theory require a fully manifested Rika. That's why he wanted to end things here with his domain, because that's all he could have used to fight Sukuna since Rika's manifestation was saved for something else. Manifesting Rika at some point of the skirmish with Sukuna would make sense since I'm assuming a fully manifested Rika would be stronger than her base form. It could make sense that he was saving her full manifestation for him needing to resort to that final option of taking Gojo's body. That is why Yuta told the students not to worry, he can still fight with his curse technique in his domain. So he will try that against Sukuna first. And if he fails to do that, he will take Gojo Sensei's body, saving Rika's manifestation for that and still being able to fight Sukuna with his full capabilities in his domain, giving him 2 plans to fight Sukuna. So if you take that into consideration, Sukuna, from what we can tell, should not be able to avoid taking severe damage by 3 of these characters at the same time. Or if you include Rika, while him and Yuta are having a domain clash. But for the sole purpose of this fight not ending here with Yuta killing Sukuna with Unlimited Void, and because of how hard Sukuna is smiling in this panel, there's something we don't know that Sukuna is going to do. If Sukuna somehow wins though this domain clash or survives, it's going to be because of binding vows probably. If that's the case, it's likely we could see Sukuna increase the duration of his domain, and that's how he beats Yuta in this clash. Or Yuta's domain is not that strong and Sukuna can find a counter to it somehow. If it's actually the case that Yuta can only fight Sukuna for 5 minutes, then he dies. And by the way, this is one of the options that we were just talking about that Mei said, and that honestly is a serious possibility for Yuta. If this is the case, Akutami going as far as to bring Gojo back, well, not really, but you know what I mean, to the expense of killing Yuta for only 5 minutes to do some mediocre shit, I don't even really think that sounds possible. There's just no way. Like he threw his life away for 5 minutes to do something that didn't really have an impact on Sukuna. So that's why I think he kind of has to do something crazy. And if he doesn't, I feel like it wouldn't fully maximize the lengths he went to bring back Gojo. Once again, you know what I mean. Why do all this if he wasn't really gonna do anything? And in this chapter, it really showed the desperation that Yuta had, clearly emphasized by him, by taking over Gojo's body, throwing his life away. That, in my opinion, should already bring him a great return in this moment, in his investment. Throwing his life away to have enough power in order to do something significant to Sukuna in order to defeat him. And I also think it's desperation on Akutami's end. Bringing Gojo's strength back into the equation when he already done so much for the students by nerfing Sukuna in their battle, and somehow that wasn't enough for them to get it done without Gojo's strength. So this kind of directly shows me that he needed a way to defeat Sukuna or deteriorate Sukuna to a point where his death or his defeat seems feasible, and Gojo's strength needs to play a big part in that. which is why I also think Yuta is going to have a major impact. Or maybe Akutami just wanted Gojo to come back, or wanted Yuta to become Gojo, or become the strongest and take his body, and that was something he wanted to do, and what I'm saying doesn't really make sense because this is how he wanted the story to go. Obviously that can more than likely be the case, but I don't know. I always kind of felt like the whole becoming a monster thing, being the only way you can reach the pinnacle of power or to achieve what you want, wasn't something the new generation was going to rely on or be the path that would make them overcome their obstacles. So I found it strange that Akutami chose this route. Rame lets us know that humans are so weak because they cling on to their humanity and holding themselves back from destroying what they want. Instead of giving us a battle of ideals with like the new generation and specifically even Yuta, we get Yuta succumbing to Sukuna's ideals. I feel like Sukuna's ideology should be treated as wrong, and I felt like the story was going in that direction. And that theme was going to be disproven by the new generation, since it was constantly reiterated to us that this theme of becoming a monster is why Sukuna is so strong. Sukuna's ideals should not be proven right by Yuta adopting Sukuna's ideology in order to defeat him. So that's why I kind of said it gives me the sense of desperation from Akutami personally. Or I'm just, as the cool kids say, yapping. And Akutami wants this for his story, and what I think does not matter, and Akutami wants his characters to achieve things this way, and this feeling I'm getting is just nonsense. That can definitely be the case. Not saying this is bad writing or anything, I just personally thought that's how things were going to go. But either way, my point still stands. If Yuta's life still lasts for 5 minutes, he's going to have a major impact. Because you don't bring back Gojo, and you don't throw away Yuta's life for some mediocre shit that don't mean nothing. Like, he's not gonna do what Miguel did and leave, you know what I'm saying? In the last chapter before Gojo came back, once again, you know what I mean, it was also said Sukuna could just keep expanding his domain, and if that's the case, he probably bring back Gojo to have an impact on Sukuna to the point where they can just finish him off after that 5 minutes, so that he can't spam domains anymore. Because honestly, if he could just do that, how would they have dealt with that? I don't expect Yuta to win flat out in this battle. I actually expect him to die after this is over. But I do think he's going to leave a major impact on Sukuna. Sukuna will either kill Yuta after he's done something crazy to him, or Yuta will just die due to his condition. Yuta will not kill Sukuna, but in his time spent against him, he will most definitely leave Sukuna in a worse condition than he already is. What if Yuta doesn't die and just stays in Gojo's body forever? Because that was an option. Like, I mean, Mei made that option clear when she was talking. Let's be real. Let's be so for real for a second. I think there's complications if he stays alive to the end of the series, and it stays alive throughout this entirety of the fight, assuming his strength level is how we see it, or how we think it's going to be. That's it, guys. As always, let me know what you think down below. What do you think is happening to Yuta Gojo? I want to know your thoughts. That's it, guys. And I'll catch you guys next time.